And we are back. We are live. For a second, I saw you pointing. I was like, "What is he pointing at?" But yeah, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. And I'm gonna see if they know that there was a difference or not. But we're in a new studio, guys. You can't tell, but there is an obvious change, and it's not the camera angle. It's not the lighting. If you can guess it, comment it
or the
below,
frames. Yeah.
or the framing or anything of that.
But that is new. That did change.
But there is definitely a significant change. But
A significant change.
But if anyone is watching, welcome in, welcome in, welcome back to the Book Club Bros. And we are doing a read through of the Atomic Habits by James Clear. And yeah, guys. So first part was from the start all the way to chapter 5.
Intro to chapter 5.
Intro to chapter 5 and overall thoughts started off.
Big fan. So this is my book, the one that I chose out. And apparently, I think we talked about it last podcast, but Miguel has read it once before. And you've listened to the audio version. So I'm kind of the first fresh set of eyes on this book. But I really like the start. Like we were saying, it's super easy read and just a lot of just intricate details in the first 60-something pages.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it was funny because like Landon said, like definitely hurt, like watched or listened to it. And so, but it was, it was like almost a year or two ago. And so like reading it now, I'm like, it is weird because I'm like, oh, that's right, that happened in this book. Like,
and there's probably things you just miss, like if someone texts you or something like that, and you miss like
exactly, someone cut me off. I completely missed that chapter. But all right, well, let's dive in and get it started. I think my first highlight that I wanted to share was on page 7.
Gotcha. I got one on 5. We started off in the introduction that rolls up a little bit. I just had, like at the middle of the page, the turning point came 2 years after my injury. When I began college at Denison University, it was a new beginning, and it was a place where I would discover the surprising power of small habits for the first time. So I just thought that was a cool point where it shows that that's basically the building blocks for when he discovered like what habits were and like how to, like where his whole journey began with wanting to just dive deeper into Atomic Habits was his he was a college baseball player. His traumatic experience.
Oh, right.
That was traumatic. Can you imagine that? Yeah. That's like all I think about whenever you see those freak injuries and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, getting hit in the face.
Like I had something like that happen whenever I was in high school. We had a player hit it right back up the middle off of just hit a line drive off of our assistant coach's forehead.
Oh,
and he had to get a chopper came and picked him up and took him to a hospital for like the similar type injuries and stuff like that, like swelling and
yeah, you gotta move quick with that stuff.
It's crazy. Yeah.
But
what you got?
I just got something small in 7. It was just talking about the injury. It says, this injury was one of mine, and the experience taught me a critical lesson. Changes that seem small and unimportant at first will compound into remarkable results if you're willing to stick for them for years. And I think the key word there is the for years part. That it really does take years to really see the growth of like your increment, your atomic habits that you've been putting in.
I also like his outlook on life, just for page 9. It's something that I've been trying to look at and work on more, where he's just talking about his process of writing the book. And he says, anything wise in these pages you should credit to the many experts who preceded me. Anything foolish, assume it's my error. I was like, I like to see smart, humble people, where it's like he's probably much more intelligent than he's trying to give off in that section, but he's trying to give proper credit, because with these types of stuff, you even see it like throughout the reading, you got to credit certain people whose ideas came before you, and then like put your own spin on it to be able to turn it into your own book. But I like this little point right there. And my voice is a little hoarse today. Shout out to the Chiefs for taking home Super Bowl 58. I had to get it in there. All right. Either way, we're on to chapter number 1. What we got?
Yeah, this was that cycling story, which is crazy because it definitely emphasizes everything that he's trying to explain in the book. Like,
right out the gate.
The smallest things, like they were testing like their clothing, like they made a room for them specifically. It was like a white room so they could make sure there was like no dust or something.
The massage gel.
Yeah, bro. It's
all these
small
things. Yeah, would they hire a surgeon to properly wash their hands so they don't get sick?
To stay healthy. The dust one was crazy. Like painted the inside of their buses white or whatever it was, just so you could pick up on dust. I was like, yeah, you probably are about to win. It sounds like insanity.
60%. What is it? Yeah, 60% of the gold medals that Olympic year.
Yeah.
And after being that unsuccessful for that long, like that is pretty astounding.
Small habits.
Small habits.
Small details.
That's great.
It also just shows like no matter where you're at, like you can make those changes
Mhm.
and succeed. I had something on 15. If anyone has anything
You go ahead.
before that. Yeah, I was just talking about like he just breaks it down by the math point. He goes, if you can get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day for 1 year, you'll decline nearly to down to zero. It's like, wow.
That's crazy to think about too. And then I feel like a lot of you can probably see those extreme examples, but if you're not like really noticing it, you probably get 1% better and 1% worse like every other day.
Right. It's like
And
up
then it's
two,
just like,
minus
okay, you're
one.
not going anywhere if you're
Yeah.
not really trying to make a noticeable 1% difference in your life every day.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Um,
I had something on the middle of page 18 that says, time kind of towards the bottom, time magnifies the margin between success and failure. It will multiply whatever you feed it. Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy. Habits are a double-edged sword. Bad habits can cut you down just as easily as good habits can build you up, which is why understanding the details is crucial. So I like the way they talk about it a little bit more, like at the very end of this portion of reading, about how like being conscious about, you know, all the little details that you're doing and like almost assigning whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, because otherwise, you know, our brains run on autopilot so much that you don't even realize that you won't even realize that you picked up a bad habit until you like, oh my, like is this feeding me in a positive way or in a negative way, even if it's like we said 1%.
yeah.
Because it's so easy to just kind of downplay that, like, oh, I'm not like, you know, smoking crack, I'm just smoking a cigarette. So you could downplay it, but it's like, you know, one thing's 5% worse, one thing's 1% worse, or even more than 5, whatever it would be. But if it's not kind of feeding you in a positive way.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool on 22, the chart about the plateau of latent potential, how it is very typical where like typically what happens is, you know, you get inspired, you start doing your habits, and then you don't see that change. And it's very typical for people to start giving up because of the plateau. But then there's like an inflection point where then the compound really starts showing. And I thought that was just a really interesting just way to kind of break it down in a chart format.
They offer some cool analogies with it too. Like it kind of reminded me, I can't remember, we've read so many books now, but I don't remember which book kind of specifically referenced like, you know, people are going to think you're an overnight success just because, but they don't see the work that you put in. It even likens it to like bamboo, where it grows underground for so long and then just sprouts up, where it's like, you know, it has the what actually happens is all happening below the curve of what you think should happen. And then boom, it just takes off at an exponential rate, basically. So I like the way, I like books that can kind of put it in that context for you, because like, otherwise, you just read it, like almost reading factual information feels like you're just in school or whatever it is, compared to like, hey, this is what it is. This is an example. And it's like, oh, like I understand that 10 times better now. That was cool.
I really wanted to break down the goal part on 23, but just want to make sure anyone else has anything before that. You got it? Yeah, so I like how he kind of says, like, forget about goals, like, when making these habits, like, focus on the systems instead.
That's a huge part.
And he says, goals are the results of what you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. If you are a coach, your goal might be to win a championship. Your system is the way to recruit players, manage your assistant coaches, and conduct practice. And then it jumps down. It says, problem number 1 with goals is winners and losers have the same goal. Goal setting suffers a serious case of survivorship bias. We concentrate on the people who end up winning, the survivors, and mistakenly assuming that the ambition goals led to their success, while overlooking all the people who have had the same objective but didn't succeed. Every Olympian wants to win a gold medal. Every candidate wants to get the job. And if successful or unsuccessful people share the same goals, then the goal cannot be what differentiates the winner from the losers. And I was like, dang, that's so true.
Yeah.
It just kind of forces you to not get caught up in the process or what you're trying to achieve. And I think it's easier said than done, but if you can look at it through that lens of like, if you find a way, I don't want to say trick your mind, because they even say like you're not trying to trick your mind, but it's like trying to find a way to fall in love with what you're doing in the process of it, then
Yeah.
you don't like, then it like all takes care of itself,
Yeah.
and everything takes care of itself. It even goes a little further, like at the bottom of page 25, it says achieving a goal only changes your life for a moment. That's the counterintuitive thing about improvement. We think we need to change our results, but the results are not the problem. What we really need to change are the systems, because that cause those results. When you solve problems at the result level, you only solve them temporarily. In order to improve for good, you need to solve problems at the systems level. Fix the inputs, and the outputs will fix themselves.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, yeah, I did like that portion of it.
Yeah, it's all about the system. I had something on 27. If you're having trouble about changing your habits, the problem isn't you. The problem is your system. Bad habits repeat themselves again and again, not because you don't want to change, but because you have the wrong system for change. So I like how he thought that, where it's like, it's not like you can't do anything. You have the power to do it. It's just saying like, hey, it's whatever you're doing is you're setting yourself up for failure, but you also can set up yourself for success. So just change the system and then just reap the benefits. I thought that was really nice, not saying like, hey, it's not you. It's just, the system that's around you, or how you're, going throughout your day to day.
And like I was saying,
Yeah.
like a lot of it you find out is just subconscious stuff that you got to fix that you may have just picked up over time.
Yeah.
Like he does do a good job of like you said, not putting it on the person. Like, hey, you have all these bad habits. It's more like, hey, just take it. He even says at some point, I don't know where it's at, like almost take yourself out of it and like look at it as another person.
Yeah.
Like, okay, not like I'm not like I wake up and eat a chocolate chip cookie every single morning. Don't be like good or bad. Just be like, hey, like that person eats a chocolate chip cookie every single morning. Is that good or bad?
Yeah.
Instead of being like, I eat a chocolate chip cookie, just so you can kind of analyze the behavior a little bit easier, because we're like our own worst critic and our own biggest supporter. So it's like trying to balance that out.
All right. Chapter 2. Oh, something else really nice about these is the chapter summaries. That was so nice.
That is cool.
I always like when they do that.
Yeah.
But chapter 2, how your habits shape your identity and vice versa. I thought this was super interesting about how the difference between outcome-based habits and identity-based,
Oh my gosh.
and just like how it like clicked. It's like, yeah, I want to identify as like, whatever you want to be.
Yeah, like if you don't smoke versus is like, oh, I don't want to smoke versus I'm not a smoker.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like
Yeah, that's where it comes in. That you were just talking about.
Yep.
That's what I was looking at on 34.
it has a
That small list
yeah,
tells you.
that's crazy.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I actually started. I said, you know what? I'm gonna try this identity-based thing, because I have a terrible habit of biting my fingernails.
Oh, okay.
So
They use that as well.
yeah, I highlighted the story. So I'm identifying myself as someone that doesn't bite my fingernails.
And honestly, dude, it's like I feel like it takes some level of power to do that, because just with I don't know, maybe this is just my outlook on the world, but like it's weird to be like, oh, you got to do something like that just to change your habits, but like that's not the healthy way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's just like one of those things where it's like, oh, you got to do this like foo type stuff to try and get. Well, does it work?
Yeah,
Like if it works, then it's like, hey, because then if you get it to work, right, then it becomes a habit,
yeah,
and then you don't gotta go around being like, I'm not a fingernail biter.
yeah,
You just don't bite your fingernails
yeah,
anymore, because
Yeah.
you form that habit. Like I think that's part of, because like for me, just like just trying to, I think it's even almost something I've talked about with like one of my mentors, like just a thing for guys, like just to be able to look at it and not be like weakness, like, oh, I'm so weak, like I don't gotta do I don't gotta go to rehab, I don't gotta do
the
these, I don't gotta
pride,
go to
yeah.
all these meetings and stuff like that. Like I'm strong enough to fix this on my own. Like I don't want to say that like women probably kind of feel the same type of way in some things, but I feel like especially as some guys in some certain areas where it's just like like the cockiness, the whatever it is, to be like, I can get this on my own.
Yeah.
I can get through this on my own, instead of trying a different way.
The next thing I have is on 34. So if anyone else has anything.
On the middle of 33, I just highlighted the ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of your identity, like we were saying.
Mhm.
It's one thing to say I'm the type of person who wants this. It's a very different thing to say I'm the type of person who is this. And it comes down to just like the little ticks in your head that you can kind of get, that you can kind of just, that's what he said. It's like atomic habits. It's really small things where this is just a word. It's just wants this to who is this. And it's just like, just little things like that where it's almost kind of more settling, where it doesn't feel like he says, like it's small changes. It's not trying to tell you to change everything about your life, which could be overwhelming. It's like change this one word and see what it does for you,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think, but then also it kind of like makes you sit back and just like, what do you want to become?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like,
Deep.
uh, you know, at the end of the day, like reading through these books, you know, we're, you know, what are we, 11 books in?
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of it's just like, all right, what do you want to do? And you can definitely achieve it.
Do you look at yourselves as readers now?
Oh yeah,
As book readers instead of someone who reads? Have you identified as that yet?
I'm a book reader.
You're a book reader?
I don't know.
I'm still trying to get there. I'm not going to lie.
Little bit. I think this is helping,
Mm-hmm.
but I am not at my free time reading a book. I'm not picking up a book. See,
That's
that's
true.
when I think that's the inflection point of me saying, oh yeah, I'm a reader. When I'm
Fair.
sitting down and I'm like, I have a choice of either scrolling on Twitter or TikTok or something like that and
And you
picking
wanna
up a
read
book,
instead.
then I think that's when I'm a reader.
That's interesting. I think my inflection point, because it's cool that you said yes. I think my inflection point will be when I literally do this every day, in the sense of like not waiting until Saturday and Sunday to do my reading.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I even don't enjoy it necessarily. It's more of in the sense of like, you know, I still like just go throughout my week, and this is kind of why it's cool to be reading a habits book right now. Like
Mhm.
maybe I can start to create some of those habits that will allow me to like read every single day, because at the current moment it's like, it's not even like I don't want to do it, it's just I know I have the most time on the weekends, but I
Yes.
also can be, you know, smart enough to sit back and realize like at certain times on Monday to Friday I'll just be chilling
Yeah.
and we'll have, you know, because I always like, I think I did it on the 48 Laws of Powers, because that was such a beefy book that we almost, you didn't want to wait until Saturday
Oh, there
and
were
Sunday
some,
to pick it
yeah,
up.
there were some pages where it was like, or some sections where like, all right, we got
It's like
120
100
pages or something
Dude,
this
it was,
week.
and it was like the most dense, one of the more dense books that we've read, even from like the page size and everything. So I think for me, I'll identify a little bit more, kind of at the same point you said, not where it's necessarily like I always want to be reading, but it's like something I don't even want to say don't mind, but I guess yeah, kind of don't mind doing, and just like having it done throughout the week, because it really does, like you feel better after you read.
Yeah.
I go, like for me that goes whenever I'm reading the Bible or whenever I'm like reading the book, like you feel like better after you've read a chapter of something. So to me, yeah, right.
One thing though, I've definitely noticed the speed of reading.
Yeah. For
You
sure.
got
Yeah,
faster?
like
Yeah.
way faster. Like my fiance and I were like reading an article together, and I was like blowing by like paragraphs. She's like, "You're already down there," and I was like,
Mhm.
"Yeah." And like just, she's like,
That's-
"Why are you reading so fast?"
Dude,
And I
that's
was like,
interesting.
yeah,
Because like for these books I feel like I gotta go slow, just not like too slow, but I always want to like make sure I'm getting
Mhm.
out of it, and it's basically the only reading I do. So I haven't noticed that in like my other areas of life, like if I've gotten faster at reading just because I'm reading more often.
yeah,
That's interesting though.
I definitely feel it.
really.
you?
Yeah, bro.
Oh, okay.
Whenever I'm reading something, because I was a slow reader.
Okay.
Definitely feel like I'd be like,
And we do it so much now that you probably just got more comfortable. It's like something we hadn't exercised in forever, for me especially.
But yeah. 34. I had something that was just very interesting, a short one. It was just your behaviors are usually a reflection of your identity. What you do is an indication of a type of person you believe that you are, either consciously or non-consciously. Research has shown once a person believes in a particular aspect of their identity, they are more likely to act in alignment with that belief. For example, people who identify as being a voter are more likely to vote than those who are simply that are claiming that they're voting. That was an action that they wanted to perform. Similarly, the person who incorporates exercise in their identity doesn't have to convince themselves to train. Doing the right thing is easy. After all, when your behavior and your identity are fully aligned, you no longer pursue behavior change. You're simply acting like the type of person you already believe yourself to be.
it's a pretty powerful message. fair.
Yeah. But
I like that. I also thought it was interesting their use of non-conscious, and then they went on to explain why they use non-conscious over subconscious in this book. Because I read that and it immediately like triggered me in a weird way, where it's just like, "Nah, why did you not say subconscious? I've never heard, I've almost never heard non-conscious." And so then I was like, what is this thing at the bottom here? And it literally just explains why they did that. So it all kind of means the same thing. As long story short, we don't got to read the whole little thing at the bottom there. But he basically says that he's going to use non-conscious throughout the book and not subconscious.
Description of anything that you're not consciously thinking about.
Yeah, I think it works. Maybe subconscious is more confusing to some people.
Because subconscious, you're partially,
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, okay.
Right?
It's not
Like,
something
maybe.
that has to be thought of at all. Like it just happens.
Like, it's just like a
It's autopilot.
reaction. Right.
Right.
You're just reacting to it. Yeah, super good.
Well, I had something cool on the top of 36. It says, progress requires unlearning. Becoming the best version of yourself requires you to continuously edit your beliefs and to upgrade and expand your identity. And I thought that this was like, I might have highlighted a little bit later, but just the reality that people become so stuck, like, this is who I am. Like, I'm someone who's late. Instead of being like, I want to get better at that. Like, oh, I'm so forgetful. Or,
Oh, yeah.
oh,
I'm bad at tests.
I'm bad at tests, whatever it would be. I'm not a good driver. Or like whatever, like you identify yourself as that. I'm not good at responding to people. Like I'm bad at texting back. And you just like can allow that and it's good to have the good ones, but like whenever you have the bad ones, like that's where like the real, like if you can round yourself out, you become like, to me, like you become such a complete individual.
Yeah.
If you can like consciously be like, oh, this is who in the world goes around talking about what they struggle with.
Yeah.
Nobody does that. So it's like you're just like constantly checking yourself, like, oh, I'm not very good at this. Like that's where I was talking about human nature is to be like focus on what you are good at. Don't worry about the stuff you aren't good at. But like if you're sitting there going like, oh, I'm not that good at this, like I could work on this. It's like that is uncommon in and of itself. I feel like. So I thought that was a cool part.
I really liked how they even broke down the word identity on top of 37. It says, in fact, the word identity was originally derived from Latin words essentias, which means being, and identitem, which means repeatedly. So your identity is literally your repeated beingness.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Latin people knew what they were doing.
All right. Anything else for chapter 2? You guys got anything? Nope.
Nothing major.
All right. Chapter 3, how to build better habits in 4 simple steps.
This is where they kind of introduce the feedback loop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They talk about that on the middle of 45. It says, this is the feedback loop behind all human behavior. Try, fail, learn, try differently. With practice, the useless movements fade away and the useful actions get reinforced. That is habit forming. So it talks about like the neurological activity that has to take place for like each decision that you make, which is where it's like, I thought it was kind of cool how they used that story with the cat trial too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, took them a minute and a half, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, all the way. It ends up being anywhere from 5 to 6 seconds on the last 5 trial runs. Where it's just like, we're smarter than cats. So like that's basically the same thing that's happening at a more rapid pace.
Yeah.
You know, over time.
Yeah, I think that's a double-edged sword though, because it's like
You can form them twice as fast, like for
right.
bad and for good.
Even bad habits and good habits, like you just like slowly, you know, it's one cigarette, and then it's next thing you know, you're not even you're just realizing like you're just already outside, and you're already like pulling one out, and then you like gain that consciousness back. So it is just interesting how like the brain just optimizes like all of those thoughts of like walking outside, grabbing the cigarette, you know, unlocking your car.
And he even talks about it where it's just like, and it's a tricky thing because he goes on to say, I probably highlighted it somewhere where he's like, but I'll just talk about it now, where habits aren't, in the end of the day, habits are not good or bad. There's no such thing as a good or bad habit. Is it producing this outcome or this outcome? Like, is it serving you or is it doing this? Because having a cigarette is technically good because it reduces your stress level and it helps you like relax and stuff like that. But it's technically bad because it's bad for your long-term health and certain stuff like that. So he goes on to say like, put your plus and minuses, but at the end of the day, is it serving your identity? Like, is that the type of person that's where it comes down to, like, you got to figure out who you want to be, because if you want to be someone who smokes to relieve, like, whatever, like, then it's serving your identity in a positive way. It's reducing your stress. That's just not the healthy version. Like, you obviously haven't formed maybe the best identity of yourself.
Right.
That's where
Yeah.
you're at.
Not many people want to be a smoker.
Exactly. The smoker was
Yeah.
the one that they used.
But no. That's a
what I'm
great
saying.
example though, because it's like, but people want that, that relief of stress and stuff like that.
Right. Because even, like, you could say social media, like, pull up social media if you're struggling on a project is what it was. And it's like, oh, it reduces your stress, so you're more likely to do it next time. And it's more likely to reduce your stress again, but you're more likely to not be doing, maybe the most productive way.
Yeah.
And then it goes into and even breaks down the science of how habits work. And that's by cueing, craving, the response to it, and the reward that you get from the respond. And basically how it comes out to is, like, for instance, for a gambler, the sound of the slot machines can be a potential trigger that sparks an intense wave. For someone who rarely gambles, the jingles and chimes of the casino are just background noise. So, it's just, if a particular action requires more physical or mental effort than you're willing to expend, then you won't do it. So it's just like a few things about just how the cue is, noticing the reward. Sometimes you don't even realize that it was a cue, which is so crazy. It's just like how your brain just can identify it, and then just you're already responding to it. So the cue is noticing the reward, the craving's about wanting the reward, the response is about obtaining the reward. So cue, craving, response, and reward are the breakdowns of it. And that's where I guess, but yeah, he just really dives into it, just like explaining cues and
they split it up then, because then
Yeah.
they go, the cue and the craving it's split up into two phases whenever you're trying, because he says this, like he says, this all happens like almost immediately in your brain,
milliseconds.
like within milliseconds. So the problem phase is the cue and the craving. It says all behavior is driven all behavior is driven by the desire to solve a problem. Sometimes the problem is you notice something good and you want to obtain it. Sometimes the problem is you are experiencing pain and you want to relieve it. Either way, the purpose of every habit is to solve the problems you face. So you get the cue and the craving. That's the problem phase, and then the solution is your response to the craving, and then what that reward gives you. So I like the way that he broke that down even further. Like, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's 1 and 2 are together, and then 3 and 4 is kind of like it's almost like the before and after, like what triggers it, what you do, what you think, how you respond, and then what happens from it. I like that.
Yeah. Next thing I got is 54.
A chart just showed everything.
Yeah. Like the example.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the one that, your cue, your phone buzzes with a new text message. Craving, you want to learn the contents of that message. Response, you grab your phone and read the text. Reward, you satisfy your craving. Reading the message, grabbing your phone becomes associated with your phone buzzing.
I feel like you're a classic example number 3.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
You wake up, you want to feel alert, you drink a cup of coffee, you satisfy your craving of feeling alert. Drinking a cup of coffee associates with waking up.
Drink coffee in the morning?
No.
You're not a coffee drinker.
No, I do tea.
You're a tea drinker. Wait, do you drink caffeinated tea? Or do you need to have caffeine whenever you wake up?
No. Like I don't like immediately when I wake up. No, I usually brew it here though. So I mean, I
I
guess.
think that's a habit, like that's something that triggers your brain to say, like, okay, the day's starting once you start brewing your tea. 'Cause
No, I don't.
Yeah, I feel like you do it like midway through the day.
It doesn't upset your rhythm if you like not having your tea and stuff like that in the morning.
No,
I feel like
but-
I used to be that way with like energy drinks almost. I'm not that way anymore. So maybe I just kind of kicked it eventually. But
Good.
I still drink. I just don't need it.
But to rely on energy drinks.
No, dude, that's been my thing,
Yeah.
man. I've never, except for one time, and Chase can attest to this one, I've never really felt the effects of caffeine, like needing me, like, oh, dude, I don't get caffeine headaches really. If I do or don't have it, my wife does. And I've never really felt the effects of caffeine, like, I drink like an energy drink. I'm like, oh, and it's kind of with what we do. Like, we kind of just I've just kind of and I don't know what it is necessarily, but like, I've never been like, oh, I need to have caffeine in the morning. The only time I felt the effects of caffeine is whenever we were trying to drive back from Illinois. And I was trying to stay awake with him because me and him were driving the whole way back. And we had been on the road for long enough that, like,
Yeah, we left.
we were
at,
both
like,
trying to
11
stay
o'clock
awake.
at night.
Yeah, so we were
Yeah.
both trying to stay awake, and dude, I had like 2 energy drinks, a 5 hour energy, like all this within the span of like 6 hours. I was like, dude, Chase, I can feel my heart, like you could see my heart beating. I was like, this is insane. I was like, this is not good. And that's
Yeah.
that's really the one time I've been like felt
I don't
caffeine
think
in
it
a.
works for me.
Caffeine.
Yeah, I don't. I'm the same way.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't
it
know. I
just-
don't notice it much. Like
Yeah.
even to go to sleep.
Mhm.
Like whenever I was super young, like maybe fourth, fifth grade, and I would have like a caffeinated soda after like 6 o'clock, I like wouldn't be able to sleep very well.
Yeah.
But like ever since then, like if I drink caffeine or no caffeine, it doesn't really matter too much. 'Cause, I mean, probably having an energy drink at like 8 or 9 o'clock might be different, but I just don't really do that.
Happened to me once. I don't even remember. I was in elementary school though. You remember Sobe energy drinks?
Oh, dude, Sobe was my favorite.
Kinda.
Yeah.
They had
Sounds
Life
familiar.
Water too, right?
Like
Was it the whole brand that had the Sobe
I
Life Water?
believe so.
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But it was the one with the lizard on it.
Yes.
From a long time ago.
Yes.
I remember I wanted one from the store because I'm like, I
Dude,
just
I
want
love
to try it.
Sobe.
And my mom was like, no, that's gonna keep you up all night. I'm like, no. I'm in elementary school, mind you. I drank it. I think this was like the day before the first day of school. I did not go to sleep. Yeah,
That's an awful
Just
feeling
wired.
too.
yeah, bro.
It's such a restless
kid.
feeling.
It's terrible.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, as a kid, now that's when you probably are gonna feel it the most. Cause like that's when I was feeling it. Like fourth and fifth grade, I'm like, why can I not sleep on some of these nights? And then my mom would like eventually ask me, like, are you having caffeinated soda after like? I think she was just smart enough to know. She was just like, you're not gonna drink soda after this time. And then all of a sudden it started working. And I was
Yeah.
like, what is caffeine?
Well, I'm curious, Landon, for you. How long have you gone without caffeine?
Oh, I mean, how long is a long time? Maybe a day, maybe like 2 days. Like
Right. Okay.
I haven't. Yeah,
So
I
like
guess,
you haven't gone like a month.
no,
or a
actually,
week.
it's interesting you say that because like I don't really track my stuff that much. I'm just sure it's probably been that long. Like if I just haven't had soda in a day and I'm just like it's happened before, so get off my back. I know you wanted to say something, but I got.
No, I'm just curious
No,
because
but for my younger brother though, where he was like wanting to be a bodybuilder or something along those lines, a nutritionist, and he was like he would do what do you call it? Caffeine. Caffeine what? It was a break from caffeine. I forget what it was specifically called.
detox.
Kind of like a detox to where he's just like, I don't feel the caffeine anymore, so I'm not going to have it for a week to like almost reset my balance to where, because I mean, with most stuff you can, like with most other things, like I just don't feel it with caffeine.
Yeah.
Like I would do that with like chocolate or like something like that, whatever it would be. But like he would just take like a week or a month off or whatever from caffeine to be like, okay, like now I can feel the caffeine doing what I want it to do.
Right.
I've never been able to feel that. So I guess in my head, I've never felt the need, desire, whatever it is to just like, oh, I'm not going to have caffeine for a while.
I'm curious to see if it's just a high tolerance.
A tolerance. That's what it is. A caffeine tolerance.
Mhm.
To get his caffeine tolerance back down or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But to your point, I don't think I've ever tried to do that before. So I guess, yeah, after all these years, maybe it's just been something that I'm just used to. But I mean, my wife is somewhat similar the same way, but like if she doesn't have caffeine throughout like a day or something like that, she might get a headache. I
Well,
don't get
that's-
like caffeine headaches.
That's a dehydration.
No,
thing.
she drinks plenty of water.
Yeah.
She
well,
drinks plenty of water, but like that's the thing. She drinks water all the time. She doesn't really.
and it's a
like-
different type. Well, she does coffee, right?
No, she does. Well, she does energy drinks too.
For the mainly, doesn't she do mainly coffee though? I thought because I
Mm,
know it's really associated with coffee and headaches. Because
Mhm.
I don't really
she-
get too many.
But she doesn't have
caffeine
coffee
headaches
every
with tea.
day. She doesn't have coffee every day. But she does
No.
have caffeine. Like caffeine is like what? You've heard of caffeine headaches? Surely, like
Yeah.
it's like oh, I like because my mom would get them too. She's a big Diet Mountain Dew drinker,
Mm.
and like if she wouldn't have a Diet Mountain Dew or something,
That's
and it could just be I don't know if it's like I don't know if you could argue it as placebo or not, where it's just like you start to convince yourself like oh I haven't had this all day, and then you get a headache thinking about it or whatever
Could be,
it
bro.
is.
That's
Could
the
be.
thing. That's definitely.
I mean, yeah, that's the problem. Like, I guess I can't speak on it as law, but I don't know. That's just something that I've noticed before.
But
That's
yeah, no,
interesting.
I've no, because I just went through. My church just did a
Oh,
fast.
fasting. Okay, yeah.
And I did 21 days without caffeine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I had it, and then it was like I was
Yeah,
like,
you
wow,
did
like
that.
there it is,
Interesting.
like
I did that with your church as well a few years ago, but I can't remember what I gave up. I think it was sweets, like any dessert. I
Mm.
gave up dessert, but like food and stuff like that. Like, I mean, it's just tough to. I don't know what you're benefiting into. Like mine was just like from a health tint. Like if you're cutting out dessert, then I guess you're getting a little bit healthier. But yeah, I've never thought about like a chemical because caffeine's kind of like a chemical. So like what it would do to cut something like that out. Because
Yeah. No, yeah, I
What's
mean,
the difference?
and I'm doing tea, which is less than like a cup of coffee, and like I was definitely very sensitive to it coming back. But no, I was just
it's
curious.
interesting.
But jumping right back to the Atomic Habits,
Yeah.
he breaks it down very easily into how to create a good habit and how to break a bad habit.
On 54, yeah.
On 54, yeah. How to create a good habit. First law is Q. Says make it obvious. Second law, craving, make it attractive. Third law, response, make it easy. And fourth law, reward, make it satisfying. And same thing kind of works with breaking it. How to break a bad habit. First law, Q, make it invisible. Don't see it. Because if you don't see it, you don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Second law, craving, make it unattractive. Third law, response, make it difficult to obtain. Fourth law, make it unsatisfying. And it makes it so easy to read, but
Yeah,
so hard to do sometimes.
it is, bro. It really is.
Yeah, they even. I mean, I mean, I love to see it just in that context because that's like that to me. I don't think about it before reading this book, but that seems like the best way to break a bad habit
Yeah.
is to just make it ugly. Like he even says a little bit later, like speak about it. Like it's harder. Like I'm about to.
Oh yeah,
I'm
not
about to
a,
smoke. We'll just stay
Yeah.
on. I'm about to smoke this cigarette right now.
but I'm not
Okay,
a,
but
I'm,
you
yeah.
gotta say it like okay. Instead of just being like I'm just gonna grab it, light it up. I'm about to smoke this cigarette. Oh, how does that sound? Like is that in line with who I want to be? It doesn't feel like it. I was just oh now I don't know if I want to do it, and then you just gotta make it unattractive. Like I thought, because it says every goal is doomed to fail if it goes against the grain of human nature.
Yeah.
Is what it talks about on 55, which was one of the last kind of parts in there. And I was like, yeah, to my point, like I feel like from my vantage point, like we're wired to do as much bad as we are good.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the way that I kind of view people. Like I think there's good and bad in everyone. I think you see that almost on a daily basis with everyone. Not everyone, but with a lot of people, you can see, especially the people you're closest with, you'll see the great of them and you'll see some of the bad of them. It's just kind of the way that we are as people, and we can try and hide it as much as we want to. But it says like if you're not trying to be better, become better, your dirty laundry will show at
Right.
times.
Yeah. All right. Now we're diving really into it.
The first law.
The first law, make it obvious for how to create a good habit. Chapter 4, the man who didn't look right. This was crazy.
Yeah.
This was so wild.
The opening sentence was the opening line was just so out of pocket.
The man who didn't look right. So basically, I'll just summarize this for you guys that are listening. She's over at there's this one girl who's a daughter-in-law, I think it is. Daughter-in-law's, so there's like a family gathering. Daughter-in-law's there. There's this psychologist named Gary Klein. And he said that she took one look at her father-in-law and said, I don't like the way you look. Her father-in-law was feeling perfectly fine, jokingly said, well, I don't like your looks either. She said, no, you need to go to the hospital. After a few hours later, the man was undergoing life-saving surgery. After examination, he revealed that he had a blockage in a major artery, and it was an immediate risk of heart attack. And it was just because that daughter-in-law
Had been a
was a
paramedic.
paramedic, and she
Crazy.
just said, just from muscle memory, basically,
Mhm.
just looking at people.
I mean, the
Wild.
example,
Crazy,
dude.
bro.
People are incredible, man.
Yeah.
Like some people are incredible.
For that to be like second nature to her, just like looking at him.
Yeah, you're just like, something's off.
Yeah. You
Like-
need to go to the hospital now.
Wild.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's on page 61. It says, we just underestimate how much our brains and bodies can do without thinking. You do not tell your hair to grow, your heart to pump, your lungs to breathe, or your stomach to digest. And yet your body handles all of this more on autopilot. You are much more than your conscious self. It's something that they really tried to beat home. And then I highlighted a little further down. It says, this is one of the most surprising insights about our habits. You don't need to be aware of a cue for a habit to begin. You can notice an opportunity and take action without dedicating conscious attention to it. This is what makes habits useful. It also is what makes them dangerous.
Man, I think my goal is to make a system where you're just like 90% just autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
because then you can just like really focus on the other problems.
Mhm.
But getting there is crazy, and making
Like
sure
trying
that
to deal with everything on the front end so it can just like form a good habit out of it instead, because that's you doing yourself a favor if you can form a good habit instead of having to break a bad one.
yeah,
Like I think we've talked about it like in sports before. It takes 500 good swings to undo a bad one. It probably takes 500 good jump shots to undo your bad form.
Mhm.
Like all this different stuff like that. Where, I mean, like that's something that you don't even realize applies until you start reading a habit book, where it's like, yeah, I mean, it's much easier to deal with it on the front end than try and fix it on the back end.
yeah, and stuff like that too, like a jump shot and stuff like, and those are odd. Like you can't, unfortunately, it's not like you can make it invisible.
Mhm.
Mm.
You know, that's just something like you
If
just
that's
have
what you
to
want to do, yeah.
right. It's like you want to be the best basketball player ever. It's like, all right, well, your jump shot's garbage.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now it's not like you can just like put it down and be like, I don't. I'm gonna put down my bad jump shot. No, you gotta identify it and work through it every single time. But
And
I
it-
think building the habits around it of practicing, looking at the form and stuff like that, you'll eventually. So I don't know if that's like a goal. That's I think where it comes from. I want to get a better jump shot, and that's identifying the goal, but building the systems to achieve that.
And the system is just practice, right? I mean, that's where they say like, this guy's not a very good shooter. Oh my, he's shooting 40% from three this year. Why can he shoot the ball now? Hey, why can you shoot the ball now? Oh, I shot 500 threes every couple of hours this past summer.
Yeah.
I would shoot 1,000 threes a day, make 1,000 threes a day, every single day. And then like it's muscle. Luckily for athletes, it's muscle memory. Like you
Yeah.
can almost like you can that I would nearly argue that's the not the easiest thing to do. But if you already got the athletic ability and certain stuff like that, just go 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 go. And then the greatest ones do it, and the ones that aren't mentally tough enough to continuously like, okay, I shot 1,000 threes today and made 70. That's a lot of missing.
Yeah.
But then the next day you make 80, and then you make it like it's just one of those things where it's just the athlete's an easy example because you can kind of see it literally play out and who does and who doesn't. Like, oh, why is this guy still can't shoot? Well, hey, how much time do you practice shooting? Like really practice shooting. Have you changed, or even better yet, have you changed anything?
Mhm.
Like I'm in the gym every day, of course. Yeah, I'm working out every day. But your problem is with where you're at right now. Are you in the gym more?
Mhm.
Are you doing something different? Because otherwise, it's like it's not enough to just say, "Well, I'm in the gym."
Right.
I'm in the gym working out. I'm shooting. What are you saying? I'm not. I'm not saying that you're not. But if the same thing keeps on happening, what have you done different?
Yeah.
And like that's a tough thing to have to try and answer or do. I feel like
Change the system.
change the system, get a better outcome, fix the input.
Then he kind of goes through about the habit scorecard, which I thought was very interesting. I'm probably gonna do this for my morning routine just to make it a little easier, make sure I'm not creating any bad habits. But basically, he says the scorecard is you basically go through your entire routine, every single detail that you do when you wake up, or whatever routine it is that you and then just identify if it's so once you have that full list, you just look at each behavior and you ask yourself, is this a good habit, a bad habit, or a neutral habit? If it's a good habit, write a plus next to it. If it's a bad habit, write a minus. And if it's a neutral habit, write a equal sign. So it's like wake up, neutral, turn off alarm, neutral, check my phone, negative. Go to the bathroom, neutral, weigh myself, positive, take a shower, positive, brush my teeth, positive, floss my teeth, positive. So it's just like going through the day, making sure that there's more positives and neutrals and negatives.
And that's where your identity based stuff has to matter, because he takes it a step further and goes, if you're eating a bagel with peanut butter, negative. But if you're eating a bagel with peanut butter and you're bulking,
Oh, right.
positive. So
Right.
it's just like, okay, like that's why you can't just, it doesn't allow you to just do stuff subconsciously, non consciously, whatever they're trying to do. Like, is if you have to, it's the one thing where it's like you're not setting a goal, because like it says not to set goals necessarily or prioritize them over systems, but you need to have this vision of yourself that you're working towards, and you can't get wrapped up until you get there. It's just this version that you want to be or that you view yourself as, and then what decisions are you making? It's kind of like, it's not contradictory, but you have to like differentiate between the two.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that. I like that quote too on the bottom of 62. I highlighted it. He said, Psychologist Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate."
Yeah.
I love
That's
that quote.
crazy.
It's a good one.
I love that quote. Could have been quote of the day. I just stole it from Miguel. I know he was gonna use that. Did you guys like that point and call like Tokyo railway system story?
Oh,
Isn't
yeah.
that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
I'm fascinated to see how that operates now. They operate everything so well in
Yeah,
Japan.
bro.
I feel like. Have you seen the videos like on Twitter where they're like, you got to walk up the stairs is on the right side of the stairwell.
That was been going
and
around.
down the stairs is on
Yeah.
the left, and you got everyone just in a line to go up, and just one person walking down, and it's just like, where's the police?
Yeah.
Where's the like? Is it a federal crime to walk up the stairs on the left side? Because otherwise, no way. And
Yeah.
there's no way we're
So
getting that done in
obedient.
America. Hate to break it to us. It's a fact.
Stick to the rules.
Yeah, we are some rule breakers over here.
But
That's true.
is
Makes
there
it interesting.
anything else? Because that was the entire portion.
Got one final highlight for us then on the middle of 66. It says, hearing your habit, this is what we spoke to earlier. Hearing your bad habits spoken aloud makes the consequences seem more real. It adds weight to the action rather than letting yourself mindlessly slip into an old routine. This approach is useful even if you're simply trying to remember a task on your to-do list. Just saying out loud, tomorrow I need to go to the post office after lunch, increases the odds that you'll actually do it. You're getting yourself to acknowledge the need for action, and that can make all the difference. So it's just like different little things you can do to, like we said, not trick yourself, but just like remind yourself, almost help yourself. Be like, okay, is this, for this example, it's just going to help you get what you need to have done. But for other examples, it's like, okay, I'm going to check my phone right now before I go do what I need to do this morning. Is that going to make me late? Just saying that out loud.
Yeah.
Is it going to make me later? Do I need to do that? And then it's just like, no, maybe not.
Yeah.
Because like way back from the 1% rule, I kind of done that same thing where it's like, I don't want to check my phone like for social media
Mm-hmm.
in the morning, like before, because it's just like at a minimum, I'll check it at a stoplight. But even then, that was something I had stopped. Like don't be on your phone while you're in the car, or while you're like just certain, like not while you're standing in line with your significant other to check out. Like just
Yeah.
don't be on your phone, and just certain things like that. And I've ebbed and flowed with that since then. But even since then, it's like every once in a while I'll catch myself doing it and like not do it. When before I would just never even like, just we're all just on our phones and stuff. So like I've even noticed it back from that book, and it's probably gonna be something I try and drill on more after reading this book. But
There you go. You got to create the system.
sure.
Alrighty.
That wraps up part 1.
Part 1. Part 2. All right. What do we do? Like
66-ish pages.
6, so 120-ish.
Around 120.
110 or chapter 10. Stop
Yeah,
at chapter
something
10.
Yeah.
Stop at 10.
Stop at 10.
Easy peasy. We'll read chapter 5 up to chapter 10.
There you go. 5 through 9. 5 through 9. That is right. And that's going to conclude the book club portion of the podcast right there, guys. So if you were listening along and you want to read with us, we'll be reading chapter 5 through chapter 9, stopping at chapter 10. Remember, it's Atomic Habits by James Clear, so make sure you go grab a copy. We have that in the show notes if you are interested. But moving on to our short snippets of the week. Who wants to go first?
Got you guys.
Let's rock.
Got you
We'll go right to
guys.
left. We'll go clockwise.
Let's make this easy. From the great Muhammad Ali.
Mm.
Don't count the days. Make the days count.
I heard that on TV the other day.
That was good.
Short and simple, man.
That's great.
Oh, I
That's
just
great.
thought of a quick question for you guys afterwards too.
You want to do it now? You want to do it after?
Just pertaining to Super Bowl. What was your favorite commercial that you saw?
Dude, I heard the commercial. This was kind of my opinion too. They were pretty mid this year. Did you think?
so?
Did you like them? So you liked them
Hey,
then?
man, there's a couple of really good ones.
Dang.
My
what was-
favorite
oh,
one was
the-
with.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh, my. I thought one. That, I don't know if it was like my favorite,
Yeah.
but the one that actually made an impression was the mayo, with the cat? the meow.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know. I heard
that
call.
one was good.
I heard people calling back for Puppy Monkey Baby.
Oh,
Dude, that
Oh
was
my
one of
gosh.
the best ones ever.
It
They're
really
like it's really fallen off since Puppy Monkey Baby.
Yeah. It's hard to
Dude,
beat.
I'm not gonna lie. I was so wrapped up in that game
It was hard
that
to
I
beat.
watched I watched them all too.
Yeah.
I was also not entirely sober minded. But one of the ones I did like was it had like all the celebrities in it, and now I'm not gonna be able to remember which like what it was even advertising.
Mm.
I can't remember what it was even advertising, but it had like Jack Harlow, J Lo, all
Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, I did like
that
the
one
Dunkin'
was
Donuts one.
good. That one
Okay.
was good. The Dunk Kings.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I like that one. It had a bunch of. I was like, man, you guys pulled out all the stops for this one.
Oh my gosh.
Thought that was crazy. You go. What
The
you
one
got?
that got me was the Verizon one. With
I was about to say Verizon.
I was like, bro, literally such a genius move. Because then afterwards, everybody's checking their phone. Like, did she really drop an album right now? And then what was the other one? I think it was it a Bud Light commercial?
Oh, there was a
That
Bud
was
Light
good. The
commercial.
genie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
And then we're
all at the
there,
Super
bro.
Bowl
They were
out
there.
in the same outfit. I was like, bro, that is genius.
With Post Malone right next to him.
I also like the classic. It might have been Bud Light as well, where it was the dog and the horse. It's like the patented like dog was hanging out with the horse. I don't even remember which one it was. It was just like, oh, okay, like look at it. It was a beer commercial too, so it might have been Bud Light. I do remember that.
They
but-
spent their money.
That was good. You know what else I saw is like people commenting on how Timu had 3 ads
Bro.
or Timur. Or
Bro.
whatever.
Yes,
They
bro.
said I saw someone say like
Same
yeah,
ad.
they
too.
stole all your credit card information and got 3 ads with it.
Yes.
Hey, I've ordered from Timu. I hope that's not true. But hey, if so, hey, I contributed to a commercial in the Super Bowl.
They spent the money.
Yeah, it's crazy though. Yeah, no, that's a really good question. That would have been a good question for me to ask. Mine actually pertains more to the book. So one of these. So my question for you guys today, thought provoking, honestly, as it is. What is a habit another person has that irritates you?
I'm not gonna
Just give
call
us-
out the
just give
person,
us one.
obviously.
Just give us one.
Mouth chewing.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's interesting.
Yeah, open mouth chewing is interesting.
Stingers,
When you're sitting across from him,
That's pretty bad. I'm trying to think of one, bro.
Mine's a little more toxic, I guess. I don't like when people like when you're in a group of people and there's one person that's just like clearly trying to soak up all the energy.
Mhm.
Like just being like trying to just do way too much. Just
Mm.
be the star of the show. Just not letting everyone shine equally.
It's the worst.
That'd be one of mine, I guess.
that's a good one too.
I honestly, first thing that came to mind is like, I think this is a good habit. Like my pops, he spends his time at night gardening. Like that's his like form of like.
Would that irritate you?
No, that's what
Oh,
I'm saying.
oh,
Like,
okay,
that was the
okay,
first
oh,
thing that
okay.
came to mind.
Okay, I
Like,
just wanted to make sure. Okay, no, you're good. No, that's fine.
Dang it, pops! You're out
right,
there
like,
again.
You're doing
These
the
are
right thing.
yeah, no. I like
I-
that.
I don't know, bro. I can't think of anything that just would really kill me. That's.
But that's a
one.
good thing though. That's a good thing though.
I don't know,
That's
it's
good. That just means you have a real chill view on life. He was ready to go. He had like 4, it looked like, ready to rock. No, but that's good.
Yeah,
That's
no,
a good
that
one.
one.
Is annoying.
That
bro.
one is like-
That's, yeah.
Have you been around a mouth chewer? Like when you go out to a
Ooh, shit.
restaurant?
Oh, like open mouth chewing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Dude, I don't get out much.
You don't get that much?
Mm-mm.
It's bad, bro.
Open mouth chewing though. I guess people talking with their mouth, like with food in their mouth.
Yeah, it's like
Is
the
that
same
basically
thing.
what you're
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's I mean that's a pretty
Ugh.
yeah, massive turn off. I
Like
guess.
I saw what you ate, now I see it there.
Yeah.
That's so weird. And the weird thing is like they don't even know. They wouldn't even notice. There's no
No,
way.
it's such a because it's
It's a
unconscious.
non-conscious. It's a non-conscious.
non-conscious, not unconscious.
Unconscious. Knock them out. He knocks them out. Now they're unconscious. He just hates it. Hates it that much. All
That
right,
was a good one.
it's time for you. Start the
Are
show.
we
Dude,
ready?
I don't know how I'm gonna trump that. That went right in line with the book.
All right. Am I wrong for ending a 20-year marriage because I learned my wife cheated on me while we were dating?
Ooh,
I wanted to provide some updates here. So,
Ooh,
okay.
this is gonna be interesting.
First, let's talk about things I learned about this situation in college. After talking to my wife in sessions and texting with 2 of her roommates, it's clear that her roommates knew something was up in college. They said though the situation was weird, like involving cheating. My wife had told them that we both had some wild times in college and it worked out because we got married, so they never really thought to bring it up. The roommate who pulled me aside recently was uncomfortable with the fact that my wife clearly did not talk it through with me and wanted me to know. As far as being introduced to guys she slept with, apparently she was not. That was not intended. For the one guy, he ended up dating and then marrying one of our mutual friends from college. This is the guy she was in contact with. In other situations, she would initially blame me for counseling session, but now agreed that it was bad. When I went to visit her, she planned to hang out in the room or just hang out together alone. But I wanted to go to a few parties because in high school and community college, I didn't really have parties to go to. She didn't expect me to meet the guys, but they were all at the parties, and she felt like she didn't really have a choice. I still feel kind of crappy, but it's not as bad as her intentionally parading me in front of the guys. Most of our discussion in therapy has been talking about why I think it's a big deal, and she doesn't. She initially said that none of the guys were in relationships with her, and it was mostly one night stands or friends with benefits. She didn't since she didn't view them as romantic relationships. She didn't see the big deal. Her words, not mine. My opinion is that we never said that it was okay, and she actively prevented me from doing the same. After digging into this across 2 sessions, my wife talking to some friends, she now agrees that it was a breach of trust and relationship. This is the shared understanding that she has helped us talk about the situation more honestly and helped us to get from arguing to talking, which is why I'm optimistic about co-parenting. Now, here's why I'm 100% set on divorce. 2 things came up that made me want to leave the marriage. First, about 10 years ago, we were through a really rough patch and had a dead bedroom for about 2 years. She had expressed about our sex life becoming boring, so I tried to spice things up. Nothing crazy, just role play. Apparently, she had been hung up on some sexual experiences that had happened in college that she is not comfortable talking about and wanted me to try them. But I did make it clear to her I felt awkward and guilty that it made her think of other men while she was with me. The fact that she was saying these experiences were meaningless, but they were impacting our marriage, it tells me that they meant more than she wants to say. Second, she admits that she has been flirting with coworkers on business trips since the pandemic ended. She says she has never slept with anyone, but has gotten far as going on a date with one of her male coworkers, and that was an absolute deal breaker for me. We've told our children that we're getting a divorce. We told them that it was due to some bad decisions that we made in college. We're having trouble moving past it. My 19-year-old who was in college asked me if I cheated on my wife while she was away at college. My wife got a little shaken up, but admitted to the kids that she was the one who cheated. We've agreed not to share any additional details with the kids. I reinforced that both of us will be there for the kids and that we are interested in therapy to help make sure that we handle this the best way for our family. And I told the kids that if they wanted to talk to either of us or a therapist about it, we would fully support it. We started talking to a mediator about how to proceed with the divorce. Unless things change, we should be able to have an amicable divorce. We're both financially stable on our own. We have no major debts. Kids are older, so custody is a major issue. It's been a really bad couple of months, but I'm doing okay. And honestly, I'm grateful that my post blew up because I'm both validated both my feelings, but also motivated me to go to counseling with my wife. Okay. So then there's like edits and stuff like that, but I'm just going to cut it there. Is he wrong for ending a 20-year marriage because he learned that the wife cheated on him while they were dating?
So, like, initially just hearing it before the actual story came about, it's like, I would say, like, yeah, bro, that's kind of crazy. 20 years, you've lasted that long, and then you're just gonna break it off over something that happened such a long time ago. But then hearing the details of it, it's like, okay, that happened a long time ago, but it was very, very significant.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I couldn't imagine being in the bedroom with my woman, and she's like, yeah, let's do this, like, role play thing, but, like, this is what it stems from. Like,
right.
It was a relationship I had. Like, I'm gonna be like, first off, that is not gonna happen. And second off, we need to sit down now and like just really talk about this, because yeah, that's no, bro. That's too much, bro. That's too much. So my answer is no. He's not wrong.
Not wrong. Landon?
You are going to have to find different examples where cheating is not involved. I have a very strict if there's any cheating, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I discover any cheating, and it's like it could be my wife right now, it could have been my girlfriend back in high school. I have this thing where if there's any other, I will just, no matter what it is, it can be flirting. It can be like it can. I don't know. That's just the way that I am for some reason. I discovered this a long time ago.
Any level of cheating, right?
Any level of cheating.
Okay.
It basically like more so physical contact. Flirting is maybe like but like flirting is was happening during the marriage. She
Right.
said like during the pandemic, even
Yeah,
as
going
recently as
on
whatever
dates.
ago. Like like for me is like I mean I was out so early on that. But whenever there was a semi chance the way you phrased it at the very start where it's like been married for 20 years, you found out she cheated while you were dating. Because then you got to figure, but you hear this guy and like his side of it and the way, I mean, the problem is we always give off the best versions of our side of the story, right? But like at the same time, like, I mean, the way it's being handled. But yeah, for me, when it comes to cheating, it's almost like nah. It's like, it's literally just done. Like literally almost any emotions.
No matter how long it's been.
No matter how long it's been, it's like any of those emotions, like literally would just be out the door for me. It's way too easy for me to just cut that off.
Yeah.
But that's for me. I know, so like, and it's kind of sad because it kind of projects on my views as well. Where like I lose respect for people that stay in relationships that have been cheated on, whether it's my friend or whether it's the other side, or like whenever I hear the story. And I kind of feel bad about that because I do try. That's something I try to like keep to myself. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're staying with that person. I don't respect you.
Right.
If you ask for my opinion, I'm gonna be the one that says I think you should leave,
Right.
but do what you want to do. I
Right.
don't know your
Hey,
relationship.
yeah, this
But
is my
But I
non-negotiable.
will always, it's really my non-negotiable. Where it's just like I'm always on the side of, you would have had to. I don't want to say you would have had to like be abusing like why is this person wanting to cheat on you?
Yeah.
If it's anything short of abuse, where it's just like we're just not getting along, so I'm gonna go cheat, or he said this to me, so I'm gonna go cheat. Like that's my non-negotiable.
Yeah.
It can be no matter what it is, short of this person is like, oh, he's treating me so bad. Dude, please, for the love of God, leave him. Don't just cheat on him and come back, because that doesn't make sense. Now all of a sudden I can't even look like then I'm just looking at everything crazy. So like that's my view on it. But yeah, you just when it comes to cheating, it's a legit non-negotiable for me.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm definitely with you there. I think that at any point in the relationship, just because like as longer as it goes, the more like foundational that stuff is,
And the guilt,
and
even if you did
and
it,
then
like,
it breaks trust. You know, then that trust is broken, and that takes forever. And I don't know if I probably would have to do the same thing.
like say, but so like leave out like all the other stuff and say like your marriage is really good, right?
And then
like,
you find
everything is
out?
going good, and then you find out like because like there's people that like can get over like, and I don't have. Like that's my
20
thing.
years.
I'm not the judge. I'm not the judge or anything like that. It's just literally the way that my brain is wired and stuff like that. I know I wouldn't get over that because I mean, there's no if you find something like that out, you can't unlearn certain things.
But here's the thing, though. Like, if you have kids,
Even say I'm gonna reverse it. Your kids are 4 and 6.
right? They're young,
Now they're young.
and you're like prime.
You've
like,
seen parents
in
get
that.
divorced and live together
Mhm.
just to maintain now I don't want to say the facade, but the look of like having a family environment. And I don't like that's like what I'm saying. I don't want to come off as judgmental, even though it probably is. Like that's just my way I would look at it if it was my personal situation. So like whenever you're asking me the question, it's always gonna be anything physical, anything
Yeah, like a kiss
blatantly
or anything.
disrespectful,
Yeah.
where it's just like you were with me and you did this, because the amount of thinking that has to go into that. You can say it's a spur of the moment, really. Then it comes down to, were you intoxicated or in some form, and that doesn't make it much better at all, really. But then it's just like, if you can do that sober, like just thinking rationally, we can't be together. There's no way.
I think
You got to do a lot of stuff to get to that situation in my head.
Yeah, you do.
Like you got to put yourself in that
Yeah.
situation.
I think I would
Then it's on
be
you.
able to be okay with it
Mhm.
eventually. But like I'm talking it might take 10 years.
Mhm.
Like
And it happens like that.
yeah, it might
You can
like,
get through that stuff because then you actually see the change, and then you get to spend more time with everyone knowing. And it's like, hey, look, like I don't want to. My issue is like then it feels like I would have to be parenting the relationship, where it's like, hey, look, like I know you're saying that you haven't wanted to cheat in forever and you haven't flirted with anyone in forever. Like, is that still true? I know it's been a while. Like, and then it's like, then how does that relationship form where it's like, oh, you're just never going to trust me? Like, I've been in those situations, even for a lack of not cheating, even when it just comes to like, it could be something different where it's like, no, I mean, I feel like for my money, that's the worst spot in the world to be in is like constantly doubting your significant other.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that's going to be
The
your
trust.
person, you know? So it's like, to me, it's like break that off and try and build it a new way with someone else. Like maybe you just, and fix yourself. You may have been the person that made them want to do that. But like when it comes to the actual physical action of getting to that point, I can't respect it.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of me, I'm like so, like straddling the line before, like in that scenario where
Yeah,
you said like the
the
kids are
rewire.
young,
Yeah, exactly.
and like everything's been going great, and then I find out this, like, then it's like, man, like, yeah, like part of me, I don't know. I think I would stay for the kids, just for the kids, because divorces
fair.
can really like mess up a kid.
It's so prevalent too, though. So I think it's just the way that you look at it,
Yeah.
right? Divorced kids turn out really. So then it's like, and that's a very noble thing to do because like you're almost foregoing whatever your happiness could be or your head start in starting a new life could be,
Yeah.
just to hope that they turn out better. Like, what if you still have some little shithead kids, you know?
Yeah.
It's but like, then it's like, what am I doing this for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? But I mean, but I do like, I mean, if it's a happy family for the most part, where it's not, because who is it? My mentor says he grew up in a family that like his dad would always take cheap shots at his mom and stuff like that, and they would discuss divorce. I can't relate to that.
Nah.
Luckily,
That's a
like,
non-negotiable with my fiance. Don't never.
you never talk about it in front of the kids, right? But
Never.
if that's the type, then what are you really doing? Like,
Right.
you're not saving anyone. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, so I mean, yeah. So it's interesting though.
I don't know. That if it's a good, I think
Yeah. What about you for that same exact scenario?
for
You can
the-
go real quick.
for a good situation, I think. I think I would be able to do it.
like stay with.
Yeah. Only
But-
on the basis of the relationship has been so like,
Good.
loving and beautiful
Like-
the
Right.
whole time.
Right.
And it was just like that one thing like back in the day, and she was just like, man, I don't want to ruin this, but of course there's going to
You
have
could-
to be counseling.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like you could
There's
tell
no
even
way.
from that guy's situation. He's like, my wife had been flirting with these people,
Mhm.
and that you hadn't been
that's
doing
crazy.
anything in the
Yeah,
bedroom for this
I-
period of time. Like, that's not like, it's so obvious in that scenario. If it's almost been like wiped away, and then for whatever reason it's just like, because then in a weird way, like, I mean, I'm almost contradicting myself, but I would have been out already
Mhm.
from the jump. But it's like, the guilt had built up where it's like, I feel like I got to tell you this, like I owe you this. That person there's only two situations there. You are so in love with your significant other that you got to let them know so you can have a healthier marriage, or you're still that type of person where it's just like, hey, I got to let you know because it happened again. And because for me, I've always been once a cheater, always a cheater. Right?
Mhm.
Like, I've just been once a cheater because if you can get there at some point, now if we're talking way back in high school when we're young and stuff like that, I'm going to be honest, like, you can make some bad decisions in the heat of the moment, especially just as like a dude, just trying to get whatever you want. But like, I never did that, so I think that's what forms my
Yeah.
stance on it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if I had cheated before, I probably had a much less reserved or much
right.
more
You'd
reserved
be more
stance.
okay with it.
Yeah,
Finding
isn't
out.
that the way it works? Like, people that cheat like on each other and stuff like that, but stay together, it's like, oh yeah, it's just a couple of cheaters. Like, yeah, like they're almost perfect for each other. They both, like, have you seen those relationships where like they both cheat and it's like, that's
That's kind of
and they almost ignore it. Like, we had a weird kind of relationship with a friend like that in college. I'm not going to bring
Oh.
her up and like specifically, but like, we knew that she was cheating on this person, and like he knew that she had a boyfriend. Like, he had a girlfriend as well, and then they were both way far away, and they were almost like having a relationship together away from their people.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where it's just like, I mean, you can almost, like you can almost see it where it's just like they love their people, but whenever you're that far away, and we're just, if you really want to have some sort of action, like, you can kind of understand it, but then you got to to me, you got to be upfront with whoever it is. Because if you're keeping them in the dark about that, it's like they would maybe understand. Because I don't think anyone's just trying to not get anything.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But if that's where your life circumstances
Whew.
at, you know, you know
That'd
what
be
I'm talking
tough
about.
though. Yeah, no, I know
Exactly. So it's just like,
That would be tough though. I'm with Miguel on that. Like if the relationship's going well, man, I will be pissed.
Yeah, for sure. There's gonna be damage.
There's definitely gonna be damage, but
because the sad part for me is like if you stay together, you almost have to make that person earn your trust back, and it's like that's just like I wouldn't love putting someone through that. So then what's better for like both people? Like if for me it's like it's better for me to just cut it off because I've already found this out, and it's probably better for you because you don't have to earn my trust back, and it doesn't have to be some type of like.
so do you think you could ever get that trust back?
It depends. Like I said, it depends on in the scenario I laid out. Probably not.
Yeah.
Just
I-
probably not. Like
on the other side of it too is like if you have to earn that trust back and you actually do the work, that's gonna make me like, you know.
I like
Right,
that. That's a
right.
good way to look. I don't think I get to that point.
Mhm.
Like just in my head, and I think like it would just and like I said, it would really just come down to how the span has gone since
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
If it's been like I don't
I
want
agree.
to like you have become my person,
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
though I just found this out. Like that's the only sliver. Like there's a 0.1% chance.
Yeah.
I'm not saying zero.
Yeah.
It would have to be everything line up.
I say if there's no
That's
kids
the line.
involved, if there's no kids involved,
That makes it
she's
easier,
gone.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's gone. But if there's a kid involved, then yeah, no, I'm staying. I'm staying for the kid.
That's good. That's
But-
that's noble.
But
Wow.
there you go. Wow,
Dude,
we're
that
what are
was
we?
crazy.
Three. We haven't heard a contradictory yet of I can't wait till one of you guys split.
Don't bring up
I
cheating.
can't
Don't bring
wait.
up cheating. You're just
can't
wasting your time, unfortunately. That's why I wanted to say that now.
There's some good ones though. But all
That's
right,
great.
that's going to wrap up this episode of the Book Club Bros. Remember, guys, we are reading chapter 5 through 9 of the Atomic Habits by James Clear. So make sure you pick up your copy,
Both.
and hopefully read with coffee. And
Or
we'll see you
energy
next
drinks.
time.
Yeah.
Chapter 5 through 9. Take care, guys. Peace.